see
Does
it?
it say it up in the corner?
Yes.
Okay, then it should
Good
be.
deal.
Okay, then I guess it's recording. Okay, excellent.
Let's hope so.
Okay, hello, welcome. Thank you so much. This is my show, Patriot Nightcap, and we premiere on Wednesday, Sunday nights at 8 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. I'm very excited. Nino has shared some of his favorite guests with me. I have Emily and Kimberly, the Iowa Mama Bears, with us tonight, and I might have a Briana Ray from the Patriot community joining us. We've gone toxin free. We're enjoying our Patriot community, and we're here tonight to talk to the Iowa Bears, Mama Bears. I have a ton of people in my Patriot community who are having issues with the face diaper mandates in various states and a lot of other stuff going on. So Emily, I would love to hear your story. And Kimberly, let me start with Emily. Emily, I went on and I saw you speaking to your school board, and I have to say, I was really blown away. I mean, your intensity and the way that you came across and everyone was standing up and cheering. I mean, that takes, you guys are like, you're warriors out there, because a lot of people don't know what to do. They're fearful. Let me just tell you that I actually fled New York when I started having issues. I was out there for 25 years. I saw cancel culture, sneaking in. And then I have a daughter who's 9 years old, competitive gymnast. We were at our New York gym, and and let me tell you, a lot of these Nazi women really, they get very excited about what's been happening, and I think, abusing their power. But one of them came over to me and said, you need to stand in your circle. You better put your face diaper on, and, yelling at me. And I thought, oh my God, this isn't going to work. Like, this is not gonna. And then, as you can imagine, having Nino as like my little brother, right? So I know he's like calling me. He's like, you got to get out of there.
You gotta get out of there.
You got to get out. This is going to get worse. It's not going to get any better. And so I went home. I was talking to my husband, and I was like, listen, I'm seeing, the writing on the wall. And I really think this is not going to get any better. Meanwhile, I took her out of school, which is horrible, right? Because like second grade at the time, I'm like, I can't believe my kid's not going to enjoy second grade, but I didn't trust what was going on. Then I've got my brother calling me constantly. I'm like, okay, this is really freaking me out. I took her out of school. Meanwhile, she was like happy because she could go down into the basement and do her gymnastics or whatever. But she, did the online studies and all this stuff. And then I just heard all these nightmare stories.
I knew my daughter would have difficulty. And so originally she was in a Christian school. She has an IEP in speech and other areas of learning. So she does have a cognitive delay, as well as sensory processing issues. So anyone who doesn't know what that is when something is touching your skin, you have an extra sensitivity to it. So it's like it's magnified about 1,000 times what a normal person would feel. So it was like a torture device on her face. And I knew that I would not be able to do this long term. I knew I had to find a solution. So when she went to Christian school, I thought that was my solution. I was so excited. However, they only kept her there 2 weeks until they told me, I'm sorry, we don't have the resources that Evie's going to need to be able to continue here at this academy. And I was devastated, and I began to pray, and I didn't really know what to do. But I felt God asking me to trust him and to let her go to school, because my other 3 children have been through Northwest their entire elementary ed years. And so I knew the teachers there. I didn't know the dark side of things. And so I trusted, and I let her go to school, and because she would come home crying, and I knew I needed a solution. So that's when Kimberly and I, through her daughter having physical difficulties and Evie having them emotionally, we needed to rise up and do something. Like, I knew this was evil, and I knew it was child abuse. And so it was just a matter of asking God to strengthen me to stand up against this evil and to do what I felt being led to do, no matter the cost or no matter the circumstances behind who was going to come against us and what we were going to face. That was really never a question in my mind. It was simply, I'm going to do what I can to get these off of my daughter and off of all children everywhere, because it's absolute child abuse. So I turned in the religious exemption because they wouldn't accept a medical one for me. They wouldn't accept Evie's special needs and her sensory processing to be part of her medical exemption. So a religious one was turned in. However, they immediately segregated Evie the very day I turned it in. They put her behind a 3-foot plexiglass barrier wall, like she had a disease. They
Unbelievable.
isolated her. They would not let her go within 6 feet of anyone. That includes her associate, who's supposed to be assisting in her learning 50% of the day. How
Mhm.
can you assist in learning when you're 6 feet away from someone? You
Right.
can't.
Right.
And so her learning absolutely plummeted.
Mhm.
And from there, we just, we thanked God that he gave us a platform to speak out in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And we did. And we told people Olivia and Evie's stories and how they were being abused. And hundreds to thousands of parents reached out to us and said, oh my goodness, you gave us a voice because we are experiencing the same thing. We know our children are being harmed by this. What do we do? And that is when God aligned us with the right people at the right time. We were able to get to the Capitol, and then a bill was passed. And May 20th, they put out a statement through the governor. We're allowed the day of the signing of that bill.
That's incredible. And you can't say that this doesn't affect our children, because although like I was able to run away or run out of New York and come to Arizona. So I used to be very heavily involved in theater, and there's times when I'll go in on Friday to see my daughter in her class and do little theater games with the kids. And you have a choice there. Okay. If you want to do the face diaper or not, whatever. So I'd say 95% of the class is not doing that. Then you have the small percentage of kids who do that. And they're in the back, you guys, like they don't participate. They're sitting there looking traumatized, honestly, and like depressed. And
Yeah.
I'll say, come on, let's join in. Let's have some fun. It's Fun Friday. No, they're, like, because they feel segregated and probably traumatized. And I'm thinking, God, parents, do you know what you're doing to your kids here? Like, I don't. So it's a lot of this too. It's obviously is the parents, imposing this on their kids, right?
They're brainwashed.
They're
They do not see
brainwashed.
the harm by it. They really don't. They're spiritually brainwashed to believe that what they're doing is good and what we are doing is evil. And it's like calling evil good, and good evil, just like it says in Isaiah.
Yes. Let me let Briana in. She's just now jumping on. She's been having some issues as well and would like to. Hi, Briana.
Hi, Brianna.
Briana, it's okay. We're all here. We're all mamas.
Sorry.
It's the holiday season, and I was gonna have a nightcap myself. Mama needs some wine, but I thought, you know what, I'll hold off because I'm not there. It's not the holidays yet, and this is a sober show. But we're all mama bears. We're all moms. We've all had our issues, and we were just talking right now, and Kimberly was about to tell her story with Olivia, because I saw the pictures of the staph infection. And I'm like, you just know as a mother anyway, right? You're like, this is ridiculous. There's bacteria and crap on this. You shouldn't be breathing this in. On top of which, you guys, they wanted my daughter to do her extreme gymnastics and not breathe. Like,
Where's the logic?
It's like, where's your common sense? This is
Yes.
the dumbest thing. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. So Kimberly, go ahead and tell your story with Olivia, and then Briana, we'll let you ask your questions. Go ahead.
Okay. So at the time, Olivia was just starting school. It was her first year in kindergarten. She was so excited to go. Our schools the diapers mandatory. So she at first was doing okay. Then the governor came out and said 2-ply face diapers were needed. So we had to switch the type of. So sorry, I said the word.
I know. We're all like,
I know, I'm like,
my brother's gonna kill me. He's like, just make it. Okay, go ahead.
So things were going okay at first, and then all of a sudden she started getting like a little rash around her face. And at first it looked like she was licking her face, like when little kids, it comes wintertime and stuff like that, and they lick their face, it kind of had that little rashy feel. So I didn't think much of it. I'm like, okay, put some ointment on it. It was all right. Then it kept getting worse. It started getting bigger. It started getting blisters. And I'm like, what the heck? So I took her to the doctor. The doctor said, it looks like she's gotten the start of infantile. So here's some medication that we can put on first and try to get it healed up. Well, unfortunately, we couldn't get it healed up because it has to air out. And having the constant moisture sit on her face just
worsening it.
Yep, it just made it worse. So then we did that for about about 2 months, we tried to find different antibiotics and stuff like that. And eventually it did turn into staph infection. People have staph virus on their skin at all times. Some people it doesn't do anything to, some people it does. Unfortunately, it did with my child because it was constantly sitting on her face. So she had the microabrasions from the previous rash in the impetigo. So then it just got deeper into her skin, which then could be cause her to become septic. So the doctor gave us a medical exemption on December 7th, which was her birthday. She was just turning 6. So on her 6th birthday in kindergarten, for her birthday, she got moved from her desk. So she used to have a little desk buddy, but because the desk was only 5 foot apart and not 6 foot apart, she was then forced to sit by herself on the opposite side of the room than everybody else. And she was the only one in her class that had this. So that went on from December 7th until March 23rd when we went against the board. In between there, we did try to work with the school to say, hey, can we do something to have her interact? Because the school called us in January, not even a month later, saying, hey, she's falling back behind academically. I'm like, I wonder why. It's because you're excluding her from everything. So we did go get her exemption amended. So that way she could wear one for periodic times throughout the day. So 15, 20 minutes here and there throughout the day so she can interact with the other kids and be a part of school. That lasted 2 weeks and the rash came right back. And the doctor's like, okay, we have to take completely off. So Emily and I said, you know what? That's enough. And so in March, we protested against the school board for the first time. The very next day, from December 7th until March 23rd, they never once put my daughter behind plexiglass ever. That was the biggest thing. We all agreed upon that would be so detrimental to her mental, physical well-being that we couldn't do that to her. Well, they didn't care the next day after we protested. They took her to the principal's office, made her sit in there. All the while they're pushing her desk further into the corner and then putting the plexiglass around it. And she came home that day crying, upset, saying, Mom, they put this thing around my desk. I didn't have to wear my face diaper, but the kid, I couldn't go anywhere and the kids can't come near me. I knew exactly what happened. I called the school. We had a discussion. It ended up it took me 48 hours to get back into the school. They wouldn't let me in because of COVID. When I got in, everything was taken down. Everything was put back the way it was. And I mean, this had such an impact on Olivia that she failed kindergarten. She had to take summer school because of how far behind she was. And when you are talking about how it's mentally, how these parents are mentally hurting their children, it's not just the parents, it's also the other students, it's also the teachers. Because Olivia would come home after school and go straight upstairs. And I'm a mom of 7 kids. And I mean, we're never alone. We have a big family. And so I went upstairs one day when Olivia came home and she's upstairs playing by herself. And I'm like, Olivia, why are you coming up here? Why don't you want to come downstairs? And she got teary-eyed and she started to like cry. And she's like, because Mom, I can't wear the same face diaper as everybody else. And my teachers and my friends said that if I don't, then I'm going to get COVID and I'm going to give it to you and you and Dad are going to die.
Oh my goodness.
So this is the kind of mental thing that's going on with our kids. And me and Emily said, you know what, we cannot have this happen anymore. And we started standing up. We started going to our school boards, and the school board will tell you, hey, we don't have the authority to do this. It's on public health. We have to listen to public health. That's a lie. That's a BS lie.
How do you get over that hurdle? Because I have a lot of people who are like, they're hitting walls. And if, for example, I have Mike Redder, Briana, what is the everyday Joe Schmo? What does the everyday Joe Schmo do to fight this? How can we get those who are awake, but not fighting? They're awake, but they're not fighting for our kids to make the next step of keeping kids home or sending them without face diapers. It's kind of like you hit this wall and you may be in a blue state and you think you're getting somewhere, but then you've got like the masses against you. Like, what would your advice be to these parents who are fighting like hell, but what can you do when you're getting this pushback?
I would say try to get your group as big as possible. So if you're in a large school district, like 10 people, it's going to make somewhat of an impact. But if you can get like 50 to 100, 150, that's undeniable. Like
Mhm.
they have to respond or they look really, really bad. And one thing schools don't like is negative media attention. So
Interesting.
as much
Yeah.
negative media attention as you can bring to what they've done and what they're doing and exposing them, the better. And how do you expose people? You do it on a large scale. So if you can bring any type of independent media, or you can record in there to
Or
show
your
exactly
kids.
what's going on.
Right.
Kids take pictures of like their desk, how they're sitting, what the inside is like, and then put that out to social media. You can put it on your own social media. You can put it on the news social media, anywhere you can get it. Like Emily said, get it out there, because that's what helps. Because I mean, I recorded everything. I recorded
Mhm.
everything. And
Briana,
so-
have you tried that? Have you tried recording? Like, what have you been doing?
So sorry if I get a little emotional during this.
Yeah,
I've
we all
been
do.
fighting not quite as long as you guys have, probably since like June or July. My daughter is 2, so she's not in school yet, but I have a niece and nephew in the school district. And you know, what better time than now to fight for everybody, and even before my daughter were to get to school. So I've been going to the school board meetings since, like I said, about June or July. It was right around the time when I'm in Illinois. Not far from you guys, but I'm in Illinois.
Mhm.
And you know how Illinois is.
you actually have a really
So,
good freedom over fear group in there in Illinois.
oh, you do? I did
Sure
not
do.
know that. Okay, I might have
There you
to
go.
look into that. So right around the time when Governor Pritzker announced that, you know, the face diaper mandate was going to be made, going to have to be mandatory in all districts, otherwise he was going to withhold funding and withhold accreditation to where the high schoolers couldn't even graduate with a high school diploma if the school districts didn't comply. That's right around the time a big group of us, we had a petition going around signing to, sorry, I said the word, I apologize.
Breaking rules left and right. Sorry, Nina.
So we had a petition going around. We do have a private Facebook group because it has to remain private, unfortunately, because there are trolls. I mean, there are
All
even trolls in
over.
my own area, and I'm in a rural area. I'm in central Illinois. I'm about 100 miles south of Chicago. My town's population is 2,000 people, but our school district is very big. We cover a vast majority of 3 different counties. So our Facebook group grew like a lot. There's probably over 400 people in there. We did have to weed it out a little bit. So the meeting that the board voted on for this mandate, there was probably, I want to say probably 100 to 200 people there. I'm not sure exactly how many. But it was made very clear before the meeting even started that the board had already made up their mind before they even heard public comment or heard aggregate comment, or not aggregate comment, but scheduled comment from a scheduled speaker. So that was disheartening. And then the next meeting, when we tried to follow up, so we got a lawyer involved, a local lawyer. The local lawyer had emailed the superintendent, asked to talk to her and be put on the schedule for the board meeting. So he would have 20 minutes time. She never received his email.
Oh boy.
And he emailed her more than once. So then we all yielded our public comment to him, and they weren't going to let us do that. But we demanded that he got the full 20 minutes public comment aggregate, which he did, thank goodness.
Wow.
And basically what he was saying is, you know, he's trying to fight. We know that the districts in the state of Illinois and districts in other states across the country are in a rock and hard place, especially with the board members and the superintendents. They feel like, you said, they feel like they have to follow the governor's mandates and the state board of education's mandates, or they're going to lose the funding. But it's our money. And, you know, so this lawyer's trying to step in and help them out by saying, you know, if you don't listen to your taxpayers and your community members, it's going to be more difficult for you than going with what the governor is saying. So they didn't listen, of course. So then some parents in our district are now involved with a class action suit in the state of Illinois against the governor, the state board of education, and the districts. We still are trying to be as friendly and as coercive, like as, you know, as I want to say, as nice as we can with the board, because we know like they are in more of a difficult position than the rest of us, because those parents whose kids are in the school, that you can just pull your kids, right? But it's not so easy if you have a job.
Yeah, right.
If you aren't prepared to homeschool them, if you don't want to remote learn, because remote learning is hard too. So, it's difficult. You want your child to be in school to, especially to have the social aspect.
And they
So,
have
yeah,
to
so we're,
be there.
oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I've gone to every meeting with the exception of one that I wasn't able to attend.
That's amazing.
Way to go.
Yeah, but our numbers are dwindling, partially because I think the parents are getting frustrated, because they feel like every time that we go, it doesn't matter. We've gotten our eyes rolled at. There's been foot stomping, like from the not the board, but the superintendent. There's been members of the board, and we were told that we could not record. There was a parent that started to record and they got told that they could not record, so she had to turn her phone off.
Wow.
It should be public access meetings, so that could be actually a violation of the law if they're not allowing you to have a video feed of the meeting itself through the school.
Well, there is a Zoom link, but you have to have a password and get access granted to hop on the Zoom.
Not only that, I want to say that they're trying to wait you out because
I think so too.
if they can wait you out, because these school board, they don't want people to come, so they make it as intimidating as they possibly can, any way possible to deter you from coming in. I mean, the last meeting before we got the law passed, they legitly put our kids to the corner because we had kids coming in to speak, and at the time the podium was right up by where the school board members were, and the camera, when you see in the camera, you can see the faces of the kids. The day that we got the law, or Monday before we got the law passed, they literally pushed that podium all the way back to the back of the room, put a plexiglass around it, and then said the kids had to stay back there with.
Oh my God.
And then the camera couldn't see the kids because they don't want to put faces to these kids, because then people will get connected. Then people will start feeling the empathy for them, and like, gosh forbid they do that. So they do make this very intimidating, and they do try to drag it out. I mean, I'm suing the school district, and my first court appearance is not until 2023, February 27th of 2023.
Wow.
And they're just waiting for me to just say, I give up. But you know what? We can't back down. And I encourage parents and grandparents and whoever has kids or don't have kids in school, don't back down. Keep going in numbers, dress alike, because the more you show that you're unified, the stronger you become, and the more that they're going to listen.
That's great advice.
We did that. We all wore red.
Good. That's awesome.
We did, and it's still
just keep doing it.
I know. Can I just read a little bit of the resistance to you right now? This literally came to me from a very dear friend in New York, and she said, "Look what I have to deal with," and she won't get for her kids, right? Okay, this is the heavily blue state, obviously. Hey guys, this is a text. So let me just clarify. Number one, everyone in a bubble must be in order to play. Okay, you must email your cards, your passports, right, to this email in order to join the play date. Number two, if kids have only received one, they can play with a face diaper until they are fully, okay? Number three, if they have not received any shots, they can play with their face diaper on, but this will only be temporary as the mandate is coming from the board.
From that school? That's in a school?
No, this was someone in a parental play date group sending these emails out. And so, I mean, if that's not, segregation at its best and discrimination, I don't know what is. And then now check this out. Nino just sent this to me. I mean, let's check this out. The National Pulse on January 5th, 2022, the New York State Senate Assembly will vote on a bill, right? And if passed into law, grant permission to remove and detain cases, contacts, carriers, or anyone suspected of presenting a significant threat to public health, and remove them from public life on an indefinite basis. Bill A416 presents a serious risk to the basic liberties of all Americans to the state of New York. But I mean, so I guess what I'm saying is this isn't getting better.
No.
So we do need to unify. And this is a part of my having this platform, is I want people to have a place to come. We have a huge Patriot community, and we are like we're anti, and we're freedom of speech, and we want to voice our concerns, and we're anti face diapers. And I'm like, okay, you know what? No better guests than the Iowa Mama Bears to come on here and give us some advice and some tips. So strength in numbers, but like, what are just give us your top three. Like if you were to say, Briana, do this, what would your top three action steps be? What would it be? Just break it down.
I would say try to connect with people on such a level that you're integrated with one another, like a weekly meeting or something like that, face to face as much as possible, and then grow that from there. So the people that come, they can invite 5 people, and the other person can invite 5 people, and just build a network of people that you trust. And then you can all use your gifts that you've been given to make a difference, and you can delegate different things to work on. I know that's what they're doing in Iowa through Steve Corey, and they have Team Iowa. And each member of Team Iowa has kind of a different area of expertise. So locally at that level, go to also your city councils too. I know there's precinct committee chairs that are
I'm on the precinct
empty.
committee.
Good job. And also maybe the exemption route. I don't know if that's been addressed, but if enough of you get exemptions, that really shows what the majority wants,
Well, so there's one story I can tell you is a parent has his daughter, I think she's in 1st grade. Almost every day he gets called because he has to go and pick her up from school because she's having a headache, struggling to like concentrate and breathe. And so he goes and picks her up. She gets home, sorry, I said it again. An hour later, she's fine. So the school wants him to file a 504 form on her.
Oh my goodness. That's a form for special needs. I mean, that's
and it's permanent. It stays with her for the rest of her life. It doesn't go away. So he, has been in contact with his lawyer. And if he wouldn't have been, what if he would have signed that? I mean, it's insane.
Excuses and passing the buck for what they should be doing, which is helping the child by lifting that thing off her face.
Right.
Yeah.
So
our class action suit is with attorney Tom DeVore. I don't know if you've heard anything about it in Illinois, but they go to court on January 5th. But I do know, I know. So hopefully cross your fingers. And the school board is supposed to revisit the mask topic then at the January meeting. So I've already put the feelers out, told all the parents, like we need everybody there for this meeting.
And try to dress alike there as well, because that shows unity. And you don't have to have it just in your community. You can have different schools and different communities. Like we're working with Johnson and Waukee and Urbandale to get these books out of our schools. And
if
you can start going to each other's school board meetings, that helps too, because you might not be able to speak at a different town school board that say, like, I don't think we can speak at like Johnson or Waukee if we go there, but we can still show up and be a supportive person and show that we're united. So then that's another thing. It's just when you build your group, go together to each other's school board meetings as much as you possibly can, because like I said, that helps a lot, showing the unity that you have, and it will grow. I mean, ours still is not that big. I mean, we have what, maybe 20?
Yeah.
I mean, here in Ankeny, but I mean, the outreach that we have done, we hear so much that what we do has a huge impact on what happens in our county, even though we don't really realize how much of an impact we have. Because we're not in it right then and there. We don't see it like happen immediately, but us just helping them get elected and getting the school board overturned was huge. And so even if we have to work in the backgrounds to try to get things out to light, like Emily said, you should just record as much as you can, bring as much as this out as you can. Don't try to hide it and think that by staying quiet or being nice about it will help change anything. Because once you pass that, where they're just waiting on you to basically die out, figuratively speaking, they will do that to you. And I mean, and it's just hard. I mean, I get it that it's hard, but it's.
Can you get an independent media source possibly to
cover
you?
there is an independent media source that shows up at every board meeting and puts it out there for a local aspect. But maybe we need somebody different.
Do they play it like, are they more one-sided?
No,
than the other?
it's written and he jots notes and then puts it like in the paper the next day type of thing. So of course there's always like things that are left out a little bit here and there when that happens.
Anyone else possible? Like ask around, say, you know, do you know any independent media sources that would be willing to cover this, and just try to get it out there as much as you can, because they do not like that negative publicity, as well as, you know, those exemptions. I mean, if you can try, I mean, every state has them except New York and California. They should accept them. So if you can bring a massive amount, like if you get this group together and say, look, I'll hand these out to you at the meeting. If all of you would be willing to turn them into your school nurse, and then you can document it too. You can record yourself turning it in, and you guys could all post that to social media, hundreds of you, when you turn in your exemptions, and then you can show their response. And if they're tyrannical and they're rude and they're not respecting your rights, then that can be exposed as well.
And to get a religious exemption is not hard. Most of the time you can Google, of all things, you can Google a PDF religious exemption, your state, and then have it notarized. That's all you have to do, and then turn it into your
libraries
school
or
libraries, banks,
unions,
most
insurance
banks
agents.
That's great.
And so, I mean, when we went back to the school and they were trying to vote for whether we should, Emily and I came prepared. We printed off over 200 exemptions and handed them all out and said, here's what you do, fill this out, take it to your bank, have it notarized, turn it in. We had 1,408 students turn in a religious exemption to the school when they put it back on.
So although I'm sitting out here in Arizona and everyone will tell you, oh, we didn't go blue, that's absolutely ridiculous. And I feel like I'm in my own little bubble out here. I think I need to start getting more involved, because I don't know if the tide's going to turn, or, you know, what's going to happen out here. Right. So like take preventative measures. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes. Be proactive, get on the offense and start meeting with people and using each other's gifts to be proactive and get out there and develop a plan. I mean, I know that what happened with us, it was like one foot in front of the other, but it was also a plan in the sense of, we need to get the attention of legislators, because this is a law issue. So we need them to pass a law.
That's my next
to help
question.
us, or to get involved in some way that would protect our rights and protect children's rights.
Right.
And the fact that it ended in little children K through 12,
wow,
that was just an answer to prayer.
God, that's fantastic. What was your next question, Briana?
That was my next question, because I know you guys in Iowa are a red state. Obviously in Illinois, we're considered a blue state, even though I don't know how absolutely
our
blue
pocket, to be honest, Briana, is very blue. Like our area, our central Iowa is very blue, and eastern Iowa pocket, very blue. So that makes a difference.
But
I
aren't
didn't
the
know anything
legislators
about politics until this happened. I'm just
Right?
like, what the heck? I'm like, we live in the most liberal town in Iowa, I swear.
But isn't the legislature there in Iowa, like at your capital, most of it is predominantly Republican? Is that or
we've
no?
got some bad apples.
Okay.
And we've got some
I
really
think every
great,
state
we've
does.
got some great.
Every state has
fighters,
bad
but
apples.
Right.
Just because they're Republican, though, honestly, there's a leader of the House, Pat Grassley, Speaker, and he's absolutely horrible. He's Chuck Grassley's grandson, and he's downright wicked, and he passes horrible bills. I mean, bills that are complete anti-freedom. He doesn't listen to us in Iowa. So thankfully, we have some that will stand up against that here in Iowa and listen to the people. But that, I mean, the majority, I would say we also have like a good old boys club in Iowa. Well, you know, it's not all freedom fighters uniting together. It's some are compromised.
Yeah, well, I know, like I said, I'm on the precinct committee, so I have faith that this next election is going to go, this next primary will go good. I just feel like your time gets dwindled away, and like these kids can't go through this any longer. And so it's like, how much more do you push? I mean, I know you got to do it until it's done, but oh, it's frustrating.
I can tell you it's really wearing on my friends on the East Coast when I talk to them. She's like, can you believe I'm like living in my basement right now because I'm COVID positive, and I can't, and my kids can't go to these play dates, and like it's just getting worse out there. I'm like, you need to leave.
Yeah, can they pull them from school? Like that's the next step I was gonna say. I mean, I'm homeschooling my older 3, and I have been for 5 years. So.
Yeah, and there have been people that have. But then there are people that, like I said, it's not possible maybe because they're considered essential workers or, you know, I'm prepared. I shouldn't say I'm financially prepared because I'm really not, but I'm prepared to keep my daughter home someday if things don't change. I will homeschool her.
I certainly did that until I moved to Arizona, and I said, okay, I think I can, you know, rejoin society out here. But I absolutely think you should if you can.
Yeah, my husband and I have both said that we'll scrape pennies if we have to, if it means, you know, but then the other part that really sucks is that your taxpayer dollar still has to go to that public school system.
That's what I mean. It's school choice.
And that's what we need to push that. And we're trying to push that here in Iowa. We're trying to push a school choice bill where our taxpayer dollars follows the kids. And it should like that everywhere, because that will make the schools compete to be better than the next, because you want more kids to come to you. And so, I mean, I believe that even if you can't pull your kids, like I have a hard time doing it with my husband's job and my job, it's hard to pull your kids. And, you know, sometimes I feel like I'm trying to prepare in case it does get really bad to pull them. So that's the worst of the worst. But at the same time, I feel like I still have to fight for these kids. I keep my kids, even though I'm suing the school district for what they did to my girl. A lot of people are like, why didn't you just pull it from school? Well, I can pull my kid from school, but what's that do to the next kid that's still there?
Right.
You know? So I feel like at least if I'm there, they're not mistreating Olivia this year. I mean, she's happy. She's not going through any kind of trauma right now. She's doing well in school. The minute something does go wrong, you dang straight I'm yanking my kids. But at the same time, I still feel like I should stay there and fight, because I have every right. My child has every right to a free and fair education, just like everybody else.
And enjoy their childhood in school.
And if we don't stand up and fight for our kids, essentially that means they win.
Right.
They want me to pull my kids, because then my kids aren't their problem, and neither am I. But what little do they know, even if my kids are in school or not, I'm still going to the school board meetings. I'm still showing up, and I'm still talking out, because what they're doing to our kids is wrong. And I'm not standing for it. I'm not letting the government, for one, I'm not co-parenting with them, nor am I co-parenting with the school board, because they don't know jack squat about my kids or their health. I mean, they couldn't even tell you what my kid's favorite color is. I guarantee you. And it's just like, that's the kind of thing that I don't like, but I'm willing to let my kids stay in school as long as they're being treated fairly.
Absolutely.
But like I said, we have to fight for all the kids, not just our own. But when it comes down to nitty gritty and they're coming after my kids, you dang straight, I'm going to do everything I can to protect them. And
it's just the sad part about this too, is that, you know, you're also sometimes fighting the parents. You know, I had some parents attack me on stupid Facebook. You know, well, we need to know, are you going to get this? Because your kid plays with my kid. Like I got into, oh my God.
Ask them about an STD test.
Right.
Ask them, say, can you please show me?
You know what I said? I said, well, I'm sorry. I said, well, I'm sorry. What happened to my body, my choice?
Or if your thing works,
your business, you know what I mean?
If your thing works, why is my kid a risk to you?
It shouldn't matter.
I know, but but you guys, this is the way.
I know it's not there.
Yeah, I was like, wow, whoa, I got to get out of here. This is crazy. So I guess obviously strength in numbers, parents, you got to stand up, you got to hold the line, you got to fight back, and you have to show up to these meetings. And this has been terrific and valuable. And Emily and Kimberly and Briana, I really thank you, you know, for jumping on.
Fighting.
Keep fighting. We have to keep fighting.
We actually have to keep fighting too, because we got a temporary injunction put on our law. So a crooked judge that was appointed by Bill Clinton named Robert Pratt.
Yes.
He put a temporary injunction on our law, and he did so through getting the ACLU to recruit about 11 families that have children with disabilities, stating therefore we're discriminating against their learning environment and their children because they're not accommodated enough in their education because they're around. And so we're still fighting that. It was heard October 28th, and we still have not yet heard what the ruling is going to be. So if we are ruled against, our governor's next step, if she takes it, would be the Supreme Court.
Wow.
And we don't know if she's going to do that or not. So I'm praying because
we all have to stick together. We have to pray. And Mama Bears, I hope you come back to Patriot Nightcap. I'd love getting your tips
anytime.
and also
Sorry I was late, by the way.
That's okay. Better late than never. Kimberly, where do we you said you wanted to mention your podcast? What's happening?
Yeah, if you guys want to come on to our Mama Bear we have Mama Bear Mondays. So every Monday night at 8 p.m. Central Time, we have a new podcast that comes out, tells you our updates. We have Mel K coming on next week. Nice. And we have people all over the world coming to us, talking to us about what this pandemic's been like for them. And we give them a platform for them to get out and speak without being censored, without having to use any kind of censory words, you know, because people have been silenced enough. And it's about to get out there and we put our voices out there. So please.
You're like Nino, giving everybody a platform.
we all have
iowamamabears.com.
Great. We all have a platform. Okay. So also I have to mention for David, for Nino, he's got a 99-cent special happening right now on ninoscorner.tv through Christmas Eve. So jump onto that. That's terrific.
I'm already a subscriber.
Oh, you're already you are.
I followed Nino before we did any of that.
Oh my God.
It's so crazy. When I reached out to him, because I'm like, oh, I want to talk to Nino.
Yeah.
I watched his very first one out on his back porch.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
He's sitting there in his sweats, I think, on Facebook.
I have a
talking
little
about his background. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I gotta follow this guy.
You do. I have a little insider tip to that. You know what, Emily? I was inside homeschooling my daughter. And he walked in and I go, what is this? Like coffee with Dave? What is this? And then like, bam, it went.
And now look
and now it's
I'm so proud of him. I'm like, my God, David, you know, when he was just being raw and just being himself and you know, he lights a match and it goes nuclear. All right. On that note, God bless you all. Hold the line. And I really admire you and you've inspired me tonight. And Briana, thank you for jumping on here.
Yes. And thank you for asking me to answer my questions.
Yes. Thank you for standing up.
We admire you. We really do.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Because you're making a difference, even though you don't think that you are now, but you really are. Just standing up there and being brave and getting out there. Like we say, we get up, get out, and get loud. That's what makes the difference.
Just really leave the results up to God. Like, honestly, I really believe there's not a day that goes past in our lives that it doesn't get permission by him first. As hard as that may be, he's working all things for good in the end. For those who love him and who are following him. So, and our children, he loves them more than we do, if that's even possible. So I really believe that if we keep doing the right thing, that in the end, God will take care of the results and we will have him to thank.
Yeah, we do have God to thank. And everybody, Merry Christmas. And by the way, please get, for all the listeners out there, please give your children the gift of oxygen this year.
Yes.
Let them breathe.
Let them breathe. Stand up for them.
Stand up for them. All right. Thank you, Mama Bears. I hope to have you back soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.